Hey, what's going on guys? Patrickplayz here, and today in this video we're going to be talking about a certain episode of Invincible. Which Batman is the Batman seen in the Invincible episode in Season 2 in Episode 8, where we see Invincible go into multiple dimensions, and in one of them he comes across a character that he mentions is wearing a suit that looks like a bat and dresses like a bat, and basically hinting and referencing that it's Batman. So today we're going to get into that and talk about a few of the other fan theories out there about which Batman people think this is. So let's get into it. Starting off, we need to first talk about what has been said by Robert Kirkman, who has made a conversation about this, which is on Screen Rant, I believe, or IMDb. You can find this article where that's not Gotham City. That's not Batman, according to Robert Kirkman. Invincible creator Robert Kirkman refuses to admit he brought DC's Batman in Season 2 finale. And basically, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Season 2's finale, this episode did come out in, I think, 2024, just before the Absolute Batman comics, which will be very key to actually remember later on in the video. It states here in the article, Invincible Season 2 wrapped up its finale as Mark Grayson, our beloved hero, found himself in a showdown against the formidable Angstrom Levy, leading to an intense journey across the multiverse. As seen, Agent Spider in Invincible Season 2 Episode 8, Batman first crossed paths with Mark in the Invincible comic book in 2006 in number 33 issue. The Invincible co-showrunner Simon I can't pronounce that, but I'll be showing it on screen anyway so you can read along. Held out hope to have Batman cameo in the series, despite Warner Brothers' recent entanglement with controversies. Suggested he didn't call any Marvel lawyers. Invincible creator Robert Kirkman took the biggest risk with Agent Spider's cameo in Season 2 finale. In an interview, show creator Robert Kirkman spoke about Batman's inclusion in the finale of Season 2 of Invincible, and missed fans saying that it's really Batman in Invincible. Invincible co-showrunner Simon held out hope to have. There is more on the article, which you can see the full article at a Fandom Wire, which I'm not going to show the full article even in the edit, mainly because that's for you guys to also read the whole thing. But basically, Robert Kirkman states it's not Batman, it's not Gotham City we see, but both Robert Kirkman and Simon, the co-showrunners and the showrunners of the show, and the writers involved in the show and in the comics, have hinted that this is Batman, but they can't really say it is Batman because DC owns the rights. Now, let's talk about what Batman could this be. This could be many different variants of Batman, including a handful of Batmans. But you got to remember also there is a bit of a difference to the comic book adaptation in the animated show and the comic book itself. Issue 33 of Invincible in the comic shows the hand and glove, basically, of the character with the character's fist in a more ready for combat, while the show only really shows the cape. Now, I have a bit of a theory on this, based on what we've seen already and the fact that this is one of the few times Batman has been referenced outside of the DC universe in another universe, either in being seen as an actual physical character in one of the many other different realities that one of the characters goes to, or just something related to Batman. Now, I've seen a lot of the theories about this character. A lot of people are speculating it is Absolute Batman, which I'm going to get into a lot about that, because I don't think it is. Mainly because Absolute Batman wasn't created back in 2006. Absolute Batman was only created in 2024. That was the same year that the show was created this episode, that released that episode. Now you got to also remember, when it comes to animation, a lot of the time, a lot of these episodes are made and written months and months, or even the year before the actual release of the episode. Now, as far as I'm aware, and as far as many other people are aware, there is no connection that the writers of Absolute Batman contacted Robert Kirkman or anyone at the studio that's animating Invincible, hinting that they're making this character. So I doubt this could be Absolute Batman, mainly because of two factors. First off, the show could have written and probably even done most of the animation for this scene before the Absolute Batman comic book came out, and definitely before it was probably ever even an idea for the show or for the comic. Now, since this is referencing the scene in the comics in 2006, this is more likely to be related and connected to a Batman from the comic books back then. So this can include Batman from the New 52, Batman from the DCAU, and many other adaptations of Batman prior to 2006 or 2007 technically. So yeah, I'm gonna first get into why it just can't be Absolute Batman. It's just not possible, with the fact that the show had come out way before and probably was written and animated before the comic was even an idea. And the original comic book, based on the adaptation that the adaptation is basing off of, the source material, came out in 2006, a full almost a full 2 decades prior to Absolute Batman comic books being even made or released or even mentioned. And you also got to remember, the Absolute Batman universe and the Absolute universe actually takes place in its own little pocket universe outside of even the main DC universe. So really, those characters from the Absolute universe can never interact with the other DC characters because of how the universe works and why it was created. Now, maybe that will change that in the future, but for now, really, there's no way for the Absolute characters to interact with any other characters in any other form of media. Therefore, I'm gonna just safely say that Absolute Batman and the whole Absolute universe could have not been could not be referenced or connect to another universe, in especially for the Invincible franchise. Now, Robert Kirkman states that it isn't Batman and it's not Gotham, but we all know it's kind of hinting and referencing the Batman. So which Batman could it be? Now, I've gotten a few handful of Batmans of who I think it could possibly be. One of them that I have believe that it's more closely to be is the New 52 Batman. It's more likely, as the comic books for that would have been out at least a couple weeks, maybe months, maybe even a year prior to the Invincible show. But also, the show also probably would have been animating this literally the year after Kevin Conroy's passing, the late Kevin Conroy, who is the literal voice of Batman and Bruce Wayne, who's the most well-known voice actor for the character for all of these years. And it could even be a reference to the DCAU version of Batman, which also had a comic book run in the early 2000s. I think this is more likely, mainly because the team behind that weren't really involved in connecting the DCAU to really any major parts of the DC Cinematic Universe. Now, is it possible that this version of Batman could be a more newer version? Which, yes, it could be. I would say that the comic book version is probably based on the New 52 or DCAU version of Batman, as the glove design and artwork looks very similar to both DCAU and New 52. And for the animated version, it can really be any version of animated Batman. I just don't see it being absolute Batman. And to be honest, I would love to believe that this version of Batman we see in the animated show is a reference to the late Kevin Conroy, who is very well known as the voice of Batman. And a lot of people during that time, and actually also in the same year of 2024, we got the last ever performance from Kevin Conroy's last recorded lines with DC animation, with the Crisis on Infinite Earths animated film, where we see Kevin Conroy's DCAU Batman fighting DCAU Joker. Now, it hasn't been confirmed that that's DCAU version of Batman, mainly because it is based off the Batman animated series Batman, but we did also see the Justice League Watchtower from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited from the same universe get destroyed moments prior, so it's a bit unknown on that, but I'm not going to speculate into that. But I'm going to say that this reference of Batman in the animated show in Invincible is more of a reference towards either New 52, the DCAMU, the DC Animated Movie Universe Batman, or is a reference to Batman and a tribute to the late Kevin Conroy, as it would really make sense and honestly kind of works and fits for the story, as a lot of people loved Kevin Conroy as Batman, and a lot of people consider Kevin Conroy their Batman, their true Batman. So yeah, there's also a lot of other things that you can look at. Another part of the Batman design that you can see is the cape, which is got the kind of bat kind of design of his cape, which looks very similar to both DCAU's Batman's cape and the New 52, and looks very similar to even the Batman from none other than the Arkham games, or Batman from the DCAMU, or Young Justice Batman. Can even be what it's based off of, or even the Injustice version of Batman. Mainly because the cape is so iconic and so similar to the Batmans that most of the time Kevin Conroy voiced, or the voice actors that have voiced Batman in both the Arkham games and the DC animated movie universe. Now, there are some other things that I have noticed about that I would like to talk about more in a more different video, talking about what if Batman interacted with any of the other characters from Invincible. And I have a whole what if series on that I'm kind of thinking of planning out and working on, and I think will be very interested for you. So maybe consider subscribing and pressing the like button if you would like to see those videos, and let me know on what else you would like me to talk about when it comes to comic books, or even Batman in general, or the Invincible franchise, or even Dispatch, the new video game, in the comments down below. But other than that, my theory is that the Batman we see in the referenced character that could possibly be Batman is either between DCAU Batman's versions, even the comic book version from the Justice League Unlimited comic book line, the Batman from the New 52, and the DCAMU Batman. I don't think this could be any other form of Batman. The similarities of this Batman reference in the comic and in the show more accurately connect to versions of the DC AMU and DCAU and the New 52 era and the Arkham games. So that's who I think could be the possible Batman. And to be honest, I'm going to assume that my theory is correct and accurate on this, because it makes more sense, in my opinion, for the episode to be referencing Batman and really giving a tribute to the late Kevin Conroy, who is one of the most infamous voice actors who's voiced both Batman and Bruce Wayne. And to be honest, he will be missed as the voice of Batman. But yeah, let me know who you think the Batman reference, or what version of Batman this reference is based off of. And if you enjoyed the video, consider pressing the like button and maybe check out some of the other videos on the channel. But as always, guys, I hope you have a good day, have a good evening, and have a good night. And I appreciate your existence. Bye.